Well, the time has come to respond. Not so long ago, I said I wasn't going to stay silent, in the face of lies and falsehoods, on one hand, and on the other, in the face of speeches that I consider to be harmful, not just for a cause or for a state, but directly for all of humanity. In this sense, I actually analyzed a series of speeches, among which was Infoblogger's, who seems to have taken it personally and has responded to me. I took a series of his statements, but it seems this can't work that way, so that there is no doubt that the response is not distorted and shows the entirety of the content. All right, let's do it this way. I'm going to respond to that answer that Infoblogger gives me, because I repeat, I believe that what he does and what he argues is harmful. Not for me anymore, actually. Not at all for me, but for a number of causes that I consider to be just. And in this case, very specifically for tens of thousands of civilians who are now really having a hard time. For a reason, at one point I came to work in Donbass, and now, in fact, I live in Donbass. This is solely about giving a voice to those without one. Let's go to the video.
Let me tell you about a video that really hurt me. As always, please just react to the video and don't comment on Liu Sivaya's video. I always say this, every time I react to a video, you shouldn't go to the other person's video to comment anything at all, okay? So I'm telling you here like I always do.
I don't really know why I have to mention this detail, but please, don't go and do anything, and definitely don't reply or comment on Lucy's video. And wow, because when I make a reaction video, I don't say anything like that. Because it doesn't even occur to me that my followers would suddenly go and leave not so nice comments about someone else. I don't really know if the intention is the opposite. I mean, please don't even think about doing that under any circumstances. Or well, I'll leave that to Infoblogger's conscience. The truth is that indeed, a lot of his followers came to this channel to call me everything but pretty. Let's get to the content, and you can see he took it personally. I repeat, it was never personal. We were friends, but we stopped being friends. And in fact, not exactly because of me, but because he and many others like him decided to sell me out for a few views. And I hope they made good use of them, because if not, well, what a shame. But let's move on.
I'm Liu Sivaya. He made a video about some supposed statements I've made, twisting and manipulating them.
So there's no doubt that I'm taking the statements exactly as they are. Now we're going to watch them in full, because actually, you're going to see it for yourselves right now. I reacted exactly to what he said.
It hurt me more because I was friends with Liu Sivaya years ago.
Wow, now you remember?
So I've never had any personal problem with Liu Sivaya. I've never talked about Liu Sivaya. It's precisely because I respected her, or at least I had the respect from when we were friends, from when she was with the PP. I mean, I've never hidden it. She was a supporter of the Partido Popular, then she took a different path, and well, I'll explain later what happened.
Well, first of all, supporter. A big supporter. Because saying she was with the PP is a bit of an exaggeration, and she knows that perfectly well. I've always been centrist and balanced. And in fact, it's probably the word we've heard and used the most in conversations between him and me. I mean, either way, I never belonged to any of the parties people associate me with. Well, except for the Animalist Party. Yes, that's true. But not the rest at all. And when you say we were friends, this really hurt me. And honestly, I've never spoken badly about Liu Sivaya. That's the truth. Because now I'm here to answer everything. And actually, I didn't make the video commenting on her speech. For this reason, let it be absolutely clear from the start. Because if I had wanted to respond to her personally, I would have done it a long time ago. And actually, when that could have gotten me a lot of views, I thought my cause was just the opposite. In fact, about the last thing we've talked about, I'm going to show you my responses. Because it's a private conversation. But I'm going to show them, and I have every right to show what I've written. I mean, to what he was saying to me. And one of the things was precisely that I wasn't planning to get involved in anything unless it was a cause I considered to be just. And I wasn't going to waste my time getting involved with other YouTubers or so-called journalists who were talking crap about me. But besides that, the friendship we had. And I think it's very important to say this at the beginning and at the end of the video. He mentions it too, so I'll add details. We got along really well despite our ideological differences, and even within those differences, I really saw him as a friend. The relationship started to get tense, especially on April 9th, 2022, which was when we had our last conversation on WhatsApp. After that, we never spoke again, ever, not face to face or through any kind of messaging. But besides that, on May 9th, I participated, and in fact, I'll put it here in the Immortal Parade. It's a march held every May 9th in the Russian Federation. And for me, it was a very important cause, because I had just come back from Donbass. I had basically been in a war. A lot of things had turned around in my head. I realized that activism, well, it really wasn't very active. But even so, what I was doing in a certain sector of the Spanish political spectrum was really nothing more than a mirage. What I thought was a solution for Spain only made the problem worse. My perspective changed a lot. But also what they did, basically Infoblogger and several others who had a pretty good relationship, many of them with me, they never privately asked me why I went to the march. They didn't do any of that. They took videos of the march and basically made fun of me for going there with a Soviet hat. They were pretty much saying that I had suddenly become a communist, that I was just tired of changing ideologies. Well, there were all kinds of mockery like that going around. And at that moment it hurt me. And above all, it hurt me, not on a personal level, like against me, but because at that time I was waiting for my very close friend. Really. One of my best friends. At that time, Alexis Castillo, who was at the front, and he was calling me from the front. Some days he managed, other days he didn't. I was worried and also attending the march, among other things. Honestly, I don't regret that at all. Not even close. It was one of the best decisions of my life. Well, it was to defend a cause that he and I had, and still have, in common. It was, honestly, much more than just dressing up as a Soviet soldier. I remember Alex wrote to say he was really proud of me. Well, in short, for me, on a personal level, it meant a lot. For many people at that time, who needed signs of support and in some way to know that they were not alone, it meant a lot. And I am very aware of that. And they let me know through every possible means. What happened is that at that very moment, the people I considered my friends took part in an absolutely shameful campaign that was launched on my social media. Well, not on mine, but on social media in general. And that's when it came out, that I had been. That I was in Vox, that I was in the PP, that I was in the Partido Socialista Obrero Español, that I was in I don't know where else. The thing is, there was, not on my social media, but on social media in general, a smear campaign was organized against me. And such great friends like Infoblogger, who now acts like he's hurt. They didn't say a single word. They didn't make any video to defend me. Simply because, at that time, it wasn't convenient. That's the main difference between then and now. And I'm telling you directly, since I assume you'll watch the video and have taken it personally. And that is, in fact, one of the main differences between those people and me. And it's that, when the cause isn't convenient, or when the topic might make you lose followers. I got advice from many of them saying, don't talk about Ukraine anymore. Don't do anything related to Ukraine. Just wait. This will pass, and then you'll be able to go back to what you were doing before. My opinion is the opposite. If you believe it's right and fair, do it. Even if there are only 3 of your followers left, and you with the drum. And after that rather long introduction, we're going to keep reacting to all of this. And actually, at the end of the video, which is, I think, when it's mentioned, I'll show the responses from the conversation, the last one I had with that person, so you can see to what extent we were getting along, or not so much.
But the thing is, he made a video pretending he doesn't know me, calling me miserable, saying that I laugh at Gaza.
First of all, miserable only appears in the title, and it refers to, and in the video, I say it in the video. At no point do I say that he is miserable. I'm talking about the absolutely merciless reaction, and I still think so, that he had about the flotilla issue, which he basically used to make fun of. Stop ridiculizing the cause of the Gaza Strip. And yes, making fun of Gaza. Because now, with civilians suffering, dying, let's be clear, living through what is a genocide, plain and simple, anything that isn't talking about the genocide in question is just distracting from the issue. He knows it too, just like I do. I don't know if he's doing it consciously or unconsciously. But what's clear is that he doesn't care about the Gaza cause at all. He shouldn't care. I mean, I understand that we're all different people. But I'm also within my rights to respond to a position that I consider harmful to a cause that I do care about.
That's a lie. You'll never find any video, any comment of mine saying that interpreting simply that I laugh at Gaza.
But anyway, I actually don't even think I said that she laughed at Gaza. I mean, I was referring to her laughing at the flotilla, and that's as real as the video I reacted to. Well, the guy appeared. Now we're going to see it, laughing about how supposedly the flotilla had been attacked by a drone. I mean, come on, having been in a war. Of course, these people have no idea what an armed conflict is. They have no idea what refugees coming from that conflict are like. And in the Gaza Strip, there isn't even a war. Or is there genocide, which is far worse. But they have no idea what it's like to go through such severe and critical conditions. So they take it lightly. A drone attack? Are we all going to laugh when that's the last thing anyone should laugh about?
What I laugh at is the flotilla, that damn one full of communists and Spain haters who are only doing propaganda. The flotilla only spreads propaganda and tries to enter restricted areas.
The propaganda the flotilla does is to draw people's attention to a cause that I consider more than just. Then, the propaganda, in my opinion, is very well done and very well managed. What is not right, I repeat, and this is my opinion, and that's why I'm making this response video. It's the opposing stance. It's talking about everything except the cause of the Gaza Strip. Because in reality, the only thing they want is, on one hand, to get views, and on the other hand, to do it, I understand, at the expense of diverting attention from a very specific cause. I don't know if both could be related, and I wouldn't dare, not at all, to speculate about the influences that might be behind it. I'm simply giving the two most obvious options, which I believe are both actually there.
Because he calls me a traitor to Spain for not defending the flotilla of communists? For not defending this lady, for example?
Not defending the flotilla. He keeps calling it communist. And I think it should be very clear to everyone that if you love a country, I don't care if it's Spain, Colombia, or the Russian Federation. You should know there are communists in that country too. Let's see. I have one question for these people. If your mother was a communist, what should be done with her? I mean, would you refuse to offer her a glass of water, stone her? I mean, let's see, communists are people too. And actually, I say this because I've mentioned the background of that May 9th, and of a person who is extremely important to me, someone I consider a hero in every sense of the word. And he was a communist, and he had more decency and dignity than all these kinds of people put together. Come on, Infoblogger and so many others like him. So being a communist, what exactly does that prove? When? What we're talking about is a cause that should matter equally to all of humanity, regardless of whether you're a communist, an anarchist, left-wing, or right-wing. I don't care. It's different if you can't understand that. Yes, I consider you traitors to Spain because you defend Yankee interests that oppose Spain's interests. The thing is, for some reason, you act like you're not really getting the point. But is that the worst thing you can do for your own country? And it's actually the reason why now I'm not even close to the side where we used to be able to greet each other, and even personally, to be friends with Infoblogger.
Barbie Gaza claims it's a hoax that women were raped in the October 7th attacks, but you'll understand her reasoning. The civilian girls?
The same girls who were kidnapped have come out saying that they were treated well. In fact, one
of those people said she felt ugly because they hadn't done anything to her. Unbelievable. This woman claimed a kidnapped girl felt ugly because she wasn't raped. I mean, supposedly I have to defend this so I'm not a traitor to Spain.
No, this is really twisting an argument. At no point did I say that we had to defend every argument used by the people who were part of that flotilla. I also haven't heard her say that they considered a girl ugly because they hadn't done all sorts of awful things to her. Indeed, hostages were released and returned from Hamas to Israel. He was one of the first, I think. And in general terms, many of them said that they had been treated well. But I understand that those are two completely separate points. I mean, the issue of mistreatment, let's call it that, and the issue of the hostages, some of whom indeed had spoken well of Hamas, which, well, is quite a surprise. But I'm not here to talk about Hamas. This is exactly the argument that I consider a fallacy. They're distorting reality to try to make it seem like the Gaza Strip is Hamas. Right now, there are 800,000 displaced people in the Gaza Strip. Are you telling me there are 800,000 terrorists in Palestine? I mean, come on. What kind of crazy argument is this? They know perfectly well that they have to call out a few poorly worded speeches. Honestly, it's outrageous. But did someone from the cause actually say something outrageous? Aren't you dismissing the suffering of hundreds of thousands who are actually going through it right now? It couldn't be worse. And it pains me deeply that you're trivializing this issue, trying to divert attention both directly and indirectly. I don't know why or what influenced it. I'll repeat myself.
According to Liu Sivaya. But anyway, I'll say it again. I'm going to make this video with the respect that she hasn't shown me, but I'm going to do it with respect.
If you watch her video now, I don't see how I haven't shown her respect. In no case have I, in fact, spoken about him on a personal level, nor have I done anything like he says, since I don't even know him. Previously, I mentioned in a video that we were friends, and I replied to him on X when he said he had posted a video about me, that we had such a good relationship. He didn't even tag me or say, "Hey, Liu Sivaya, I made a response to you." I didn't announce the video since I rarely share my YouTube videos on X. Otherwise, I would have. If I dedicate the video to him and make a tweet about it, it wouldn't cost me anything to tag him in a normal way. If you don't use the corrected sign for Liu Sivaya, I won't see it. That's what I mean. Let's just do the reaction. With all due respect, personally, I don't have to respect her or not respect her. Here we're talking about arguments, and the arguments on the side he defends seem absolutely horrendous to me. Will I oppose him as many times as needed to make it clear that the suffering of civilians does matter and that we should talk about it? And anything I don't know how to talk about regarding that, well, it's really just trying to divert attention. I'm bursting with indignation, and I don't know how there can be human beings who adopt this kind of discourse, let alone say it out loud. Absolutely merciless speeches. I say it right there. Absolutely miserable speeches. I only use miserable here and in the title. That's what I meant. Don't react, come on, miserable speeches. But that's all the negative criticism Isaac has received throughout the whole video. Gaza flotilla.
It hasn't been proven, it hasn't been shown that it was Israel who attacked that flotilla, in which nothing happened. That's just the beginning. We must remember the first attack was a flare they set off themselves.
We might not like him much, and honestly, he's not my favorite. But we're talking about 500 civilians from 44 different countries who have been attacked by some kind of drones, which are allegedly Israeli drones, but their exact origin remains unconfirmed. Either way, there are civilians in danger in the Gaza Strip who are experiencing a real no.
They're not in Gaza yet, damn.
Why are they so eager to answer everything right away? I was referring to the civilians who are in the Gaza Strip, tens of thousands who are suffering a genocide. I don't get why those people can't grasp that.
They haven't reached the Gaza Strip yet, that's about to start. And it doesn't matter that they're civilians. They're civilians who have been warned that they can't enter a certain area.
The argument is that if you're told you can't enter an area under the law, you don't really know whose or what the heck it is, but that's it. You have to laugh. You have to respect that. Because why? If you... Infoblogger, I'm going to call you Isaac, like I've always called you Isaac, so I hope you don't mind. Liu Sivaya sounds more official, but if you don't want to call me that, it's fine. Anyway, let's see, Isaac. If someone says, since you like to argue, they'll take over your house, a house that belongs to you. What exactly has Israel done in all of this? Some two-bit soldiers show up and tell you that you can't go in anymore. You say you'll call the police or do something, but they reply, no, this is now the inviolable space of my house. Okay, but you'll tell me, is it through some kind of legality or whatever? that house belongs to me. Well, it's through some kind of legality, international law. In this case, I'll quote it for you. Those waters belong to the Gaza Strip, not Israel. And the decision to create a blockade around the Gaza Strip, which is an absolute disgrace and seriously harms its population. This is Israel's unilateral decision, and it's unclear why others must respect it. And that's exactly what the flotilla was about, which was treated in an absolutely infamous and horrendous way. The rest of the Western states, who boast so much about democracy and human rights, have completely abandoned and betrayed them. Regardless of their ideology, those people have put in all the courage and guts they had. As for me, hats off to them. They have my support, because they have been brave, and because indeed, they wanted to make it clear that those waters do not belong to Israel. But as I understand your argument, if someone occupied your house tomorrow, God forbid, since I wish no harm on anyone, what should you do? Should you call the police? Or if the people in your house are stronger, is that it? Do you just accept the injustice? Or what happens then? I thought you defended the opposite. I
don't want them killed or ruined. I just want the law applied to them.
She wants the law to be applied to them. But what she doesn't say is that she wants the law of Israel to be applied to them. Watch out. That's why these people get so furious when I say I consider them traitors to Spain. What else would you be? Of course you are traitors to Spain. For one thing, I don't think you've ever spoken about the Spanish army the way you talk about the Israeli army. Well, maybe. Okay, come on, the Spanish army, maybe. But you always add the asterisk that with Sanchez, Spain isn't doing well and is sinking into misery. I don't know what. But come on, doesn't your patriotism even reach the point of understanding that Israel is committing something illegal? And also, watch out, be careful. It's an ally of Morocco and goes directly against Spain's interests. There's a reason I moved from national politics to geopolitics, because I think you have to look at the bigger picture. But anyway, you all can stay there in the swamp of long live Donald Trump, long live Israel, without understanding that this actually seriously harms your country's interests.
And they get into waters where they shouldn't be because those are waters like a naval blockade.
They go in? Wow, I'm honestly shocked. Sorry for pausing the video so much and making this longer than intended, but I need to get this off my chest because these feelings aren't normal. They're defending the position of a state that actually harms their own state, which is Spain. In every way, internationally, in every possible way you can imagine. You're talking about being unable to enter certain waters due to a blockade, right? And what if tomorrow I block the street for you for no reason, just because I feel like it? What would you do? Exactly, nothing. You just can't. And what about the other neighbors who do it simply because they can't stand you? They say you have to follow that law because Liu Sivaya made it, but what kind of nonsense is that? These people aren't even aware of what they're defending. Another kind of civilians who, with better or worse means, I don't care. They're trying to draw public attention to this issue. The key point is this.
Is that they're admitting what they're doing is drawing attention.
Oh my goodness, yes. Really, I just don't get it. It makes me so upset. Because I don't understand how you still haven't realized that. What are you doing having a YouTube channel, talking in front of all the thousands of followers you have? Well, to draw people's attention to the causes you consider. I hope at least they're just causes. But anyway, whatever your goal is, what you want is to get attention. I'm making this video to draw people's attention to an issue that I think is important. Well, of course, it hasn't just happened by itself. I don't know how many influencers are on how many boats or why. I don't understand the argument you keep using, that they're doing it just to get on television, because they need notoriety. Of course they need notoriety. The cause of the Gaza Strip needs all the attention it can get. Through the cycling tour, the swimming tour, whichever one you want, and the cruise or whatever is needed, of course.
They refuse to give humanitarian aid and want to draw attention, they want to
provide aid and raise awareness. I don't know why both things have to be necessarily mutually exclusive, and humanitarian aid, in this case, is not the main objective. And if it is the main objective, well, for me personally, it is just as important as raising awareness about this cause. Because I imagine they also, in turn, must have imagined that Israel would hardly let them through. And the rest of the states had what it took, indeed, to offer them that free passage to reach the Gaza Strip. I wish it had been possible, but at least this way they have exposed the injustice that exists today at the international level, and the absolute barbarity that Israel has imposed. Israel, absolutely condemned, on that region and on that civilian population.
Isn't all the propaganda around the world about this enough? They have to draw attention.
Of course, as long as it lasts. A genocide is being carried out against a group of civilians who are women, children, elderly people. Well, men too. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're civilians. They're struggling, going hungry, and sleeping outside. It really upsets me, which is why I make these videos. I repeat, precisely for this reason, because I have been in war. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not even 4 times. It's just that lately I live in a territory that's at war. I know what the suffering of civilians is like in these situations. I've seen people leaving Mariupol, some of whom were heading to the western side. So much so that you might even think I'm only here to defend Russia. No, I myself have helped many civilians, one lady in particular who thanked me and then... She sent me a lot of Ukrainian propaganda, but I'm just glad she's in Germany now. People leaving Mariupol, whether to the Russian or Ukrainian side, struggled. Children carried stretchers. Not just wounded soldiers everywhere anymore, soldiers and civilians. You don't know what an armed conflict is, but in this case, Palestine doesn't have an army. You have the nerve to try to draw the world's attention to I don't know what issue, when it's just a resistance group. It's not even a minimal army, nothing. And the vast majority of these people who end up under the rubble are civilians. But that's the argument of some alleged terrorists, so Gaza Strip and Israel can do whatever they want. It's like saying that when Euskadita Askatasuna was around, there should have been an ethnic cleansing in the Basque country. Do you realize how outrageous that sounds? Apparently, in such an extremely delicate and difficult situation, especially in humanitarian terms, where I think all of humanity should be united, some people can not only laugh about this, but also exploit the situation, where they are attacking their own fellow citizens over rumors.
Luis Sivaya, with all due respect, those people aren't my fellow citizens. Those people hate Spain. They're communist Bildu supporters. Those people hate Spain. They're separatists. They're not my compatriots.
Let's see. It seems like where you are, on that side, in that group, you all live in some kind of dream world. Those people are your fellow citizens, whether you like it or not. Even if they're communists, I really don't know. What's your issue with that word? Bildu et Aras, separatists, whatever they are, if they have the same nationality as you, whether you like it or not. You keep talking about the real Academia Española, insisting on speaking and writing properly, and claiming that's just how reality is. They like progress until they don't, and say a woman is a woman and a man is a man. Let's see. If they have a Spanish passport, they're your countrymen, and you're talking about them. Against your fellow countrymen. You might say, as a fellow countryman, I don't want it that way. Well, could I accept that? The argument here is very weak, in my opinion, because your fellow countrymen are doing everything they humanly can to help a group of civilians, and it's not just 1 or 2, but hundreds of thousands who are having an extremely hard time. But on top of that, with all legality on your side, they are your fellow countrymen. Come down from that pink cloud, those people.
I don't feel Spanish. I'm not criticizing those people just to go after Sanchez. My position in this conflict has always been the same, no matter who the president was.
There are also Spaniards who go there to criticize the government in power.
Let's continue discussing the flotilla heading to Gaza, since the flotilla with Barbie and Gaza is my favorite series. Apparently, Israel has attacked them. The flotilla wants to enter blocked combat waters under naval blockade. This has happened with the flotilla, okay? Look. Oh. He didn't give it to her, nothing happened, and we don't know why.
Nothing happened. There was a hit, a bang, but that's it.
Like the flare, which made a loud bang, and it was them?
The thing with the flare, it was them. I imagine that's something we'll still have to see. But either way, his attitude, you can clearly see that he's openly laughing at the flotilla. And that, well, some civilians were supposedly attacked. His argument is that they weren't attacked, but if they actually were, then he's already laughed at another group of civilians who are having a hard time. I mean, I don't know, it seems to me regrettable, to say the least. I repeat, we should set aside ideology. This is a humanitarian issue. A group of people has organized themselves or been organized by others. I don't care. To try to draw as much attention as possible to the issue of Palestine, and above all, to try to break the blockade. Exactly, the naval blockade that Israel has imposed in those waters. This is really about having as much courage as possible. We're entering waters where Israel threatens to bomb us. So what happens next? They are, in a sense, and actually in quite a literal sense, risking their lives. No matter how much fun they're having along the way, they're trying to help a population that, in every way,
That is, regardless of how much fun they're having. So you don't care if they're partying, if they're stopping at the coves, if they're just doing it for attention. For what? For attention. For what purpose?
to draw attention to the Palestinian cause, where, I repeat, there are civilians suffering. Even if they show one breast, even if they show two, every effort counts. The fact that they're having a good time doesn't seem like a strong argument to me. Because Alex, the friend I constantly mention and consider a hero, I repeat, spent 8 years of his life at war. And in fact, I remember when we used to record videos from here, from Donbass, people would often criticize us, some of my followers, not many, of course. But they would reproach us for laughing and joking around. Behind the cameras, he'd say, "Liu, how do they think we're living here?" Yes, exactly. And tomorrow I might lose a colleague, but that's why I have to enjoy the moment to the fullest. I mean, just because you have to do something important doesn't mean you can't have a party the night before. That I'm defending it? No, but you're bringing up those parties to distract from what matters. Because those people, even while partying, are still heading to Gaza. But they've already been stopped. I made a video about it, but at that time, you didn't really care much, did you? So, for some reason, all you want is to distract from the Palestinian cause?
For what? What naval blockade are 4 lousy boats going to break?
A single boat can break a naval blockade if it gets through, and may even create a corridor. I mean, actually, you don't even need to confront them militarily. If it gets through, the naval blockade is considered broken. And afterwards, we'll have to see the reactions from Israel and from the international community. But the main goal was to get in. That.
These people want publicity and propaganda. They want videos of themselves giving packages to Gazans. That there is no humanitarian blockade. There is a blockade. Some waters that Israel has blocked for 20 years to prevent arms smuggling for Hamas. But the humanitarian corridors are open in other areas.
Wonderful. I mean, this is the argument he tells Israel, to him and to many others like him, to whoever wants to believe it. And they end up so convinced. That is, well then, Israel has blocked several waters to stop weapons from reaching Hamas, even though Israel has no rightful presence there. It literally has, it shouldn't have any influence, but it claims them just like that. And for some reason, everyone has to respect that. Exactly, why? And they remain completely convinced. There's no international legality to support it, but who cares? It's Israel, so I guess they're doing the right thing, just because they're Israel.
That's the problem. Liu Sivaya explains it many times.
No, the problem is that you don't know or don't want to know about the international situation, neither about the Palestinian conflict nor about the Middle East region. The only thing you talk about is propaganda slogans already.
Israel told them to bring humanitarian aid through the same entry point as everyone else.
Well, it turns out that the humanitarian aid is coming in through where everyone else is coming in, and it's not going to come in here. But those people there, the civilian population, I repeat, are having an extremely hard time. There are many videos showing people crowded together, packed in, receiving humanitarian aid. Actually, now he'll mention that Spain is dropped by air. But that's often even more harmful, because people crowd together, they pack in, and in the end, there end up being civilian casualties trying to receive that humanitarian aid. That's to start with. But the second thing is that I don't even know why we're talking about that argument, when the main point is that Israel has no reason to block the Gaza Strip. They're carrying out ethnic cleansing, genocide, the naval blockade. They're doing it just because they feel like it. I believe everyone should say enough, which is why we're here.
We've opened up, right? Whatever the hell you want. what is it that you want to do? It's understandable. That's how every war is.
This isn't a war, it's genocide. Wars have two sides, but here, one side lacks an army. The thing is, you're really talking about something that, I repeat, either you have no idea what you're talking about, or you're twisting this issue, which I find evil or not, no one knows why. Las Luces is struggling. I'm amazed by this man's reaction. Next, Israel.
Has offered you to leave the humanitarian aid at the port of Ashkelon, which is next to Gaza. Because the option you want is to go into combat waters, into waters that have a naval blockade where no one can enter. They said Israel could easily sink you or detain and send you back, which they'd have to do.
I'm not sure if you mean Israel had to sink their own citizens.
No, that's not what I mean. They should detain and send them back.
Under the law. Of what? Which law exactly are you responding to? But you really don't see it, and I'm saying this now, addressing you directly, Isaac. Seriously, don't you see that the only thing you're defending is Zionist propaganda? I mean, you're not listening to any reason. You're not getting to the heart of the matter. You're just commenting a little bit on the surface. Today, I know the topic was the Gaza Strip, and you needed to laugh. But what's happening is truly sad. As for other topics, I don't mind what you discuss since I don't see them as harmful. In this case, I think you're harming hundreds of thousands of civilians. I almost said tens of thousands, but it's much more. Of course, you have the right to do whatever you want. But I don't know. A little bit of humanity, a little bit of goodwill, a little bit of, I don't know, feelings, understanding, empathy, understanding other people's suffering. I don't know, maybe send his fellow citizens back. Either way, we're talking on one hand about human dignity, and on the other hand about dignity. It's just that if
you notice, the speech is always the same. So he doesn't give any arguments?
Careful, he doesn't give any arguments. No argument, it's literally, practically anything. It's another thing if you think the arguments I give. You may call my arguments weak or silly, but to say I haven't given any is untrue. I've given plenty. And in this response video, well, even more so. These are arguments that don't convince you, which is completely different. I mean, you all are constantly twisting reality so much. I just can't believe it.
Always. They're your fellow citizens and compatriots, bringing humanitarian aid. Drawing attention, well,
4 arguments, since he himself has listed them, but he hasn't found any there.
you're not giving any, not a single argument, not one.
Don't you see something's wrong? You listed 4 arguments, but claim there aren't any. Another thing is, I repeat, maybe you don't think they're good enough arguments, but that's already a matter of opinion.
Your channel likely has low views, so you need controversy to boost it. I think you were expecting me to react to this. Obviously, I was going to do it.
Well, this is already the key argument. I guess, well, he hasn't said that Putin pays me. Thanks, Isaac, because you know that's not true. And at least there you've maintained coherence and dignity. But that thing about my channel being low on views and that's why I'm making a video, which actually, out of all the ones I've made, it's one of the ones with the least views. I could make a short from the latest ones. There are quite a few that have had more views, and it's also going to be more productive for me in a humanitarian sense than making a video commenting, which isn't really my style of making videos. But it's something I've decided to do because, as I said, and I've announced it on the channel, because again, I think it's important. And I think these are the kind of arguments that shouldn't go unanswered. If you want to twist it into something it's not, it's like if I said you're making these videos because, what benefit do you get from it? Well, look, son, I just respond to the arguments you bring up, which I don't like. But that doesn't mean they're not arguments. And that's it. We're not going to get into any hidden motives here either. But above all, because I think someone who went to Donbass for the war and literally had the channel, I mean literally. In the first few months, I lost so many subscribers and views that I wasn't earning anything. Absolutely nothing when I was here and I paid for everything out of my own pocket. And then, for who knows how many months, I was literally earning 400 euros. 400 euros a month. Making live videos, doing this and that. I don't even remember for how many months. I mean, telling me that I'm doing something because it's going to bring me more financial benefit. We were friends, so saying that shows you don't really know me. That's your responsibility, not mine.
But is that it? You're not giving me any argument.
About Spain as a country, since your criticism goes beyond just the actions being taken, even if it was little, it was meant to help Gaza Strip civilians. For contradicting Israel, therefore, it's almost like putting international law at risk, which Israel has already blatantly ignored countless times. Is he only saying this to oppose Pedro Sanchez's government?
Yes, I'm saying this to oppose Pedro Sanchez's government. Look at Sivaya. This is humanitarian aid arriving in Gaza. By air? This? These are the humanitarian aid trucks being confiscated by Hamas. By land, and the sin now, go for it. Spain airdropped humanitarian aid via an unauthorized corridor created by Israel.
First of all, I don't know why we have to use the corridors that Israel dictates for a population that doesn't belong to Israel. By using this argument again, you're diverting attention from what's truly important. Secondly, humanitarian aid, when dropped from the air like Spain did, for example, kills civilians, in fact, because they crowd together, they pile up, they try to reach that humanitarian aid. It's not safe to do it this way. Thirdly, the vast majority of humanitarian aid ends up being, I don't care by whom, taken and mismanaged, wherever it is. But it doesn't end up reaching the most needy civilians, who are clearly going hungry in the Gaza Strip. I mean, I'm not here to defend Hamas. Let's be clear. I'm here to defend the civilian population of Gaza. And what about the people from the flotilla? They wanted to deliver the humanitarian aid directly. They say, come on, right? Also, of course, I repeat, to draw attention to this cause, they say the humanitarian aid is not getting through. We don't know exactly why, but something seems to be going wrong. So we're going to try to do it in the most direct way possible. Israel claims it can't be done, but honestly, its word shouldn't matter at all. The thing is, unfortunately, reality is just the way it is. But they've made an attempt to change that situation. But, come on, don't tell me that humanitarian aid is actually getting there. Just look at how little there is. Just look. Notice when you know as well as I do that people there are sleeping outside, hungry, thirsty, and struggling. To say the least, just to say something. And it hurts me deeply when you say that I don't care about the civilians in the Gaza Strip. Well then, go ahead and think about your conscience again. But speeches like yours, I think, should be answered by everyone. Anyone who considers themselves a good person. Because there's just so much effort to divert attention from what's truly important, which is those people. They're having a hard time. To attack I don't know who, to defend I don't know how many. Ultimately, to defend a genocidal state. I don't think it should go unpunished. I mean, let's see, at least not in terms of rhetoric. It shouldn't go unpunished as a discourse. Understand me, because then you go off on other tangents. I'm not, by any means, calling for anyone to do anything or anything like that. Well, I see that the video has already reached 48 minutes, which I think is a lot for a reaction video, but I really think it's necessary to do it no matter what. So, considering that I have a small child I need to take care of, let's leave this as the first part. As soon as I can, I'll come back, either live or like this. Can you let me know in the comments which way you prefer? I'm going to respond to everything else that's been said, and I'll try not to get so tangled up there. Everything else was covered by Infoblogger, but I think this part of the speech has already been discussed and answered. I consider it absolutely necessary to draw people's attention, yes, to this kind of speeches that I consider harmful, and therefore, from time to time, I will also spend my time actually responding to them, no matter how little benefit it brings me in the end. This shouldn't be happening. I'm referring to the suffering of civilians in the Gaza Strip. The genocide in the Gaza Strip should be condemned by all of humanity, and then Israel simply wouldn't be carrying it out. As long as there are people, and especially influencers, mainstream currents, and majority opinions like those that, unfortunately, and much to my regret, Isaac defends. Of course, Israel will keep doing the same thing, and we will have to keep doing what we consider fair and what we consider necessary to try to help those civilians. The following parts will come later. For now, the commentary ends here.